Let me tell you something that sounds impossible, but it's real. The electricity you are using right now, the light above your head, the device in your hand, all of it traces back to one man. And that man died alone, broke, forgotten in a hotel room. No family beside him, no celebration, no recognition in his final moment, just silence. His name was Nikola Tesla. And today on Mr. Shahzaib, you are not just going to hear his story, you are going to feel it. Because by the end of this video, you will realize something very uncomfortable. The world doesn't always reward the people who build it. Nikola Tesla was born in 1856, during a thunderstorm so intense that he later said, even nature was reacting to his arrival. But from childhood, one thing became clear: Tesla didn't think like others. He didn't just memorize information. He replayed entire books in his mind like recordings. But this gift had a cost. His senses were extreme. A small sound could feel like impact, bright light could overwhelm him instantly. His mind never truly rested. Where others saw normal life, Tesla saw constant overload. And yet, inside that chaos, something extraordinary was forming. Because while most people learned step by step, Tesla saw complete systems in his mind all at once. No testing, no trial and error, just full inventions, fully built, inside his imagination, and that difference would change the entire world. By the time Tesla reached adulthood, electricity already existed, but it was limited. Thomas Edison's system, a direct current that could only travel short distances, meaning cities needed power stations everywhere. Expensive, slow, and scalable. Tesla saw the flaw immediately, not as a guess, but as a certainty. Then one moment in Budapest changed everything. While walking through a park, the solution appeared in his mind, fully formed. He stopped, picked up a stick, and drew something in the dirt. A completely new system. Alternating current AC. A system where electricity could travel long distances without collapsing. Not just improving electricity, but unlocking civilization. That moment didn't feel like invention. It felt like discovery. Like the world had been waiting for someone to see what was already there. When Tesla reached America, he had nothing. No money, no network, just ideas. And he met Thomas Edison. At first, Edison recognized his intelligence. Tesla worked under him, improving DC systems. There was a promise made: money for results. Tesla delivered, fully, but the promise was broken. And that moment didn't just end a job, it started a war. Edison wasn't just competing anymore, he was defending an empire. And Tesla's AC system was a direct threat to everything he built. So Edison launched a public fear campaign. He tried to convince people AC was dangerous, even going as far as public demonstrations meant to create fear. But truth doesn't stay buried forever. Because in 1893, something happened that changed everything. Tesla's AC system powered the Chicago World's Fair. Millions of people saw it, lights everywhere, without limitation, without fear. And in that moment, the world quietly shifted. Tesla had won the war of ideas, but not the war of life. Tesla had won. His system was powering cities. Factories were running. Homes were lighting up. The future had arrived, and everywhere that future existed, Tesla's fingerprints were on it. But there was one problem. The man helping create the modern world had almost no interest in becoming rich from it. And that would prove to be one of the most expensive decisions of his life. You see, Tesla was never a businessman. He wasn't driven by money, status, or ownership. Investors cared about profits. Bankers cared about returns. Industrialists cared about market control. Tesla cared about ideas. He cared about what technology could do for humanity. That difference changed the course of his life forever. At the height of his success, Tesla partnered with George Westinghouse. Together they were transforming America. Their systems were spreading across cities, powering industries, and changing daily life. But success does not protect anyone from financial pressure. Westinghouse's company began facing serious challenges. Investors were nervous, competitors were attacking, and the company's future suddenly looked uncertain. One day, Westinghouse approached Tesla with a difficult request. The royalty agreement they had signed years earlier was becoming a burden the company could no longer afford. Legally, Tesla held all the leverage. He could have demanded every dollar. He could have enforced the contract. He could have secured a fortune so large that generations of his family would never need to work again. Instead, Tesla did something almost impossible to imagine today. He picked up the contract, looked at it for a moment, and tore it apart, just like that. In a single decision, he gave up what would eventually be worth billions of dollars. Not because he was forced, not because he had no choice. Because he genuinely believed the project mattered more than the money. Most people spend their lives chasing wealth. Tesla walked away from it willingly. But while the world saw electricity as a business, Tesla saw it as only the beginning. His mind was already focused on something even bigger. Something so ambitious that even now it sounds like science fiction. He wanted to give power to the entire planet, wirelessly. No power lines. No cables. No limitations. Energy available anywhere on Earth. That was Tesla's dream. And unlike everyone else, he believed it could actually be done. To investors it sounded unrealistic. To Tesla it sounded inevitable. So construction began on what he believed would become the greatest achievement of his life. A massive structure known as the Wardenclyffe Tower rose into the sky. Tesla believed it would transmit energy across enormous distances and completely transform civilization. For a brief moment, it seemed possible. One of the most powerful financiers in America agreed to support the project, J.P. Morgan, the man whose influence stretched across the entire economy. At first, Morgan was impressed. The project sounded revolutionary. The future looked profitable. Then he asked a simple question. How do we charge people for it? Tesla's answer changed everything. You don't. The purpose wasn't to sell electricity. The purpose was to provide it. To everyone. Morgan immediately understood the problem. A business cannot profit from something it cannot control. And the moment he realized Tesla wanted free access rather than paid access, the funding stopped. No warning, no negotiation, no second chance. The money vanished. Construction slowed, work stopped, and the dream began to collapse. The tower stood and finished, towering above the landscape like a monument to a future that never arrived. Years later it was dismantled piece by piece. The steel was sold as scrap. The project disappeared. And Tesla watched it happen. The man who dreamed of powering the entire world couldn't save the invention he loved most. After that, everything began to unravel. Investors stopped calling. New opportunities became rare. Other inventors captured public attention. The world moved on. But Tesla never stopped imagining what could have been. As the years passed, his laboratories became hotel rooms, research budgets became unpaid bills. The future he once saw so clearly seemed farther away every year. Yet even then, he never stopped thinking. He never stopped inventing. He never stopped dreaming. Even when nobody was listening, even when nobody believed him. Even when the world had largely forgotten his name. Every day he fed pigeons outside his window. Every night he returned to his room alone. Newspapers that once celebrated him now treated him as an eccentric old man. Some called him strange, others called him crazy, but they were looking at the surface. Behind those routines was still the same mind that had changed the world. Still searching, still creating, still building impossible futures inside his imagination. Even as everything around him slowly disappeared. January 1943, New York City. Outside, the city was alive with movement. Cars rolled through the streets. Buildings glowed with electric light. Millions of people went about their lives without thinking about the systems that made modern life possible. High above the streets, on the 33rd floor of the New Yorker Hotel, Nikola Tesla sat alone. There is something deeply powerful about Tesla's story. He didn't fail because he lacked intelligence. He didn't fail because he lacked vision. He didn't fail because he lacked determination. If anything, he had more of those qualities than almost anyone who ever lived. What defeated him was a world that often values profit more than purpose. But here is the strange part. Despite losing money, recognition, and comfort, Tesla achieved something far more important. He became impossible to erase. Because wealth can disappear. Fame can disappear. Companies can disappear. But impact survives, right now, as you watch this video. That is his victory, not a bank account, not a title, not a trophy, a legacy. And that legacy is still alive. Here on Mr. Shahzaib, we tell stories like this because history is full of people who changed the world without receiving the credit they deserved. Tesla was one of them. He died alone. He died broke. But his ideas never did, and that is why, more than 80 years after his death, the world still remembers the name Nikola Tesla. If you enjoyed this video even a little, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.